Hi, my name is Yuri, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Relax Ultima Neck Massager. So this is what the product looks like. It's meant, I'll show you how to use it later. It's meant mainly for the neck. You can also use it for other body parts. It's a combination of heat and TENS style electro stimulation, which I'm going to talk about later on as well. Just going to show you the box that it comes in really quick. So pretty standard cardboard box. Relax Ultima. On the back, you got some stats, place of origin Shenzhen, China, product specifications, PC and silicone, polymer battery, DC 5 volt, product net weight 0.35 pounds. So it's pretty light. It's got comes in a thing like this. You got some precautions. Basically, don't use it if you have a pacemaker or anything like that. You got some steps on how to use it. You got a charging cable as well, which looks like this. It's white and it's, I don't know what kind of USB, but it plugs into a regular USB. So you got charging cable as well. And then inside the box, obviously you have the massager itself, and it does come with a remote. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to use it for my neck. So basically you want to wet the surface a little bit. So I'm going to use just a little bit of water on the back of the neck. That helps with the electrodes to get a better purchase, so you can start to feel right away that electricity, making your muscles contract and relax. And I'm going to turn it on. There's a switch there. I'm going to hold it for a couple seconds. I hear the beep. And I'm going to turn up the, so already I feel it. So as this thing is going, you may feel my neck. You may see my neck contract. That is involuntary. That is from the electricity that's going to it. And then there's a heat mode as well. All right, so basically, here's how this thing works. If you ever used a TENS unit, basically, I'm not going to go into the science, and not that I'm an expert on the science by any means. Our muscles work through electronic impulses. Our brain sends electric signals, and that's how our muscles contract. So you can also make your muscles contract through an external source of electricity, and it doesn't take a lot of electricity. The batteries on these and TENS units in general last for a really long time. I'm turning up the volume. So what's happening is it's sending these electrical signals, which is similar to different kind of massage, and you're also getting this contraction and relaxation of the muscles, and you are not doing anything consciously. You can resist it if you want, and it's kind of like an interesting strength exercise, but basically I just let it go. Do its thing, and then your neck feels good afterwards. This guy stops after about 15 minutes, so that's like one cycle, and there's a few different modes. One of the instruction manuals has the modes, but the modes are just the difference of what it does with the shock. So some of it's, percussive. Sometimes it ramps up the amplitude of the shock wave and then lets it go. Sometimes it's like sharp bursts. So the different modes will do the different things, and that's something you can play with. And then there's also a heat. So the pads also get heated based on this button. Now the whole unit is controlled with this remote control. So you turn it on with that switch on the side, and then with this remote control that's the heat button, so you can turn the heat on and off, cycling it. You have the mode button, and then you have the plus minus intensity buttons, and when you switch into a new mode, the intensity automatically ramps down to a low setting, so you do have to up the intensity every time you switch modes, and you don't know what mode you're on. So there's 3 different modes. I'll read what those are later on, but it doesn't tell you which mode you're on. So that's kind of a small negative in the design that I'll talk about later on. Okay, so why is this useful, the TENS unit? First of all, you get a strength benefit from these muscle contractions. Now, it's not a way to train, but you do get these muscle contractions and relaxations. And then after you're done with this cycle, the whole area feels warm, it feels relaxed. It's a good feeling afterwards. Now, my experience with general TENS units, and that's why I actually really like this one for that reason. So I have a lot of body hair, whether you know this or not. And usually when you get a TENS unit, it does the same thing, right? But you get these little electrodes, these little sticky electrodes that you attach to different parts of your body, and then it's the same thing. You get that signal, it tenses the muscles, it relaxes them, you get these different sensations from the electronic signals, and a lot of TENS units run also different kind of programs with different patterns. But the point is, you need a good stick, right? You need the full contact of both of these electrodes to get the full signal, to get that full circuit. And they just don't stick to me because I'm covered in hair. So that's something that if you're hairless, it works a lot better. If you're not, that's why I haven't had the best experience with TENS units that I've used, is because the pads can never stay on. And with this one, because it has that circular design, it clamps on, and a little bit of water on the area, and then you can immediately feel the shock. If you don't use water, it just takes a couple minutes to get going until you feel the shock. So that idea of this thing clamping on, it's really nice because it just stays there and I don't have to worry about falling off. I don't have to worry about, if you start to sweat actually, it's even better because you get a better electrical signal because of not only the moisture but also the salt in your sweat. So it's really cool in that regard, and in that regard, even though you can't use it on every body part, I do think it's actually superior to most TENS units because also these last longer, right? What happens with the TENS units, I think they usually last like 15 repetitions and then the adhesive no longer works. So the point of this is because it clamps on, it's going to work for a long time and you don't have to replace the pads. So I do like that, and if you are somebody who gets benefit from TENS units, it's definitely something to look into. So as I mentioned, the pads are also heated. The heat just increases blood flow, helps with relaxation. So in that sense, it's also very helpful. The heat is optional. It's basically two modes of massage. It's the heat and the electricity. And now when I get bang for my buck, I'm going to use both. And I'm in the second mode right now. So and the second mode was more pulsing, like boop, 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 like more percussion. I'm going to go third mode, and I'm going to show you the back of my neck. So see, I don't know if you can see those contractions. That's not me moving. That's the shock of the unit. So yeah, 3 modes, different patterns. Overall, nice unit, nice piece. I also want to show you, so you can use it for the shoulder, for example. Now, it's meant for the neck, so you don't get as good of a purchase on something like the shoulder or the leg, but it is possible. So as an example, my right shoulder's been bugging me a little bit lately, not too bad. So I'm gonna do the Relax Ultima Massager on my right shoulder, and you'll see that it behaves. It's not as comfortable as wearing it on your neck, but it's going to behave in a pretty similar way. So I'm going to attach it like an armband, make sure both electrodes are in contact, hold the on button, and yeah, there we go. Couple of repetitions and I feel it. Let's change the mode. And I don't know how visible that is, but I'm getting the shock and I'm getting the contractions. Obviously, it's not as comfortable with the arm. Like, you can't really move the arm around when you do it. You can't really walk around with it. You kind of have to just sit still. Yeah, there we go. You can see the pulses now and let it take its course. But you can use this for the arm, you can use it for the leg, so you can use it for different body parts as well, even though it's meant for the neck. And again, just that idea of you don't have to rely on the medical adhesive in order to make it stick. But yeah, like, I have to keep my arm in the same place. So if I were to do a full cycle of 15 minutes on my shoulder, I would want to just sit still the whole time. Whereas if I did a cycle on my neck, I could be walking around, I could be doing other things with that. But yeah, just to show you that even though it's meant as a neck massager, it is a little bit more versatile than that. Okay, so overall thoughts, positives and negatives on the Relax Ultima Massager. Positives, it's well designed, good quality of materials. It's light, so if it's something you wanted to travel with, that wouldn't be a problem at all. Seems to be durable. I haven't done any drop tests or anything on it. I don't think it's a good idea to drop it like with most electronics, but it does seem to be well built and pretty durable. Fairly easy to use. However, you do have to have the remote with you. It doesn't have button operation other than just turning it on the unit itself. So the remote is pretty small. You have to make sure that you don't lose it. I think in many ways it is superior to a TENS unit if that's something that you get a benefit from that kind of recovery work, because you don't have to deal with the medical adhesives. It works if you have body hair. It's a lot easier to use, a lot less preparation. So in that sense, it's very good. The battery, again, I've only charged it once. Batteries on most TENS units tend to last a long time. It doesn't use a lot of electricity to get that signal to invoke the muscle contraction. So overall, really good in that sense. And it's hard to explain, but you do this 15-minute cycle, let's say on the neck, and then you take it off. The neck feels loose. It feels warm. Now, if you are having issues with your neck or any other body part and you are looking into some kind of massager, this should not be the only solution. It's not going to fix your life. It's going to make you feel better, yes, but if you have issues with your neck, you have to look into stretching, strengthening, potential lifestyle change, figuring out what's actually the problem. That being said, this can definitely help to relieve pain and tension. So negatives. First off, it's just a couple design things, and hopefully maybe in the next iteration the engineers can fix some of these things or improve upon them. So the remote separate from the unit, not a big deal, but it's pretty small. So if you lose it, you can't really up the intensity. There's not much you can do with it. Number two is that there's no indicator, so I don't know which mode I'm on. So maybe include some kind of LED. And again, I don't know. I don't know about the engineering. It doesn't do anything negative about the actual use of the unit, but I don't know what mode I'm on, and I don't know what intensity I'm on. I can guesstimate based on how strong the electronic impulses are, but I don't know. Again, heat, it toggles on and off. It makes a double beep, I think, when it turns on, and a single beep, or a double beep when it turns off, and a single beep when it turns on. So that's not bad, but it's nice to have an indicator to know what's happening and what mode you're in. Right, not a big deal, just a small negative. And then kind of the last, again, small negative. So every time you click a button on this remote, it makes a beep. Now this is a device for relaxation. The beep is a little bit loud, pretty close to your ears, and it's not a pleasant sound. Now, I don't think that's really going to disturb your relaxation, but again, it's just a thought. Like every time, obviously you can't hear in stereo, but the beep is coming from here. And the beep happens every time I press any button on the remote. So yeah, a couple negatives, but other than that, it's a really nice piece, really interesting unit, really interesting take on the TENS unit and how to make it, I guess, more user-friendly in my opinion. So that's the Relax Ultima Massager. And in the spirit of transparency, this is not a paid review. However, I was sent a free product in exchange for the review. And if you're interested in purchasing this product, I have a link below. I do get a commission from that link, so just to be honest and transparent. But other than that, yeah, that's the Relax Ultima Massager. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope it gives you an idea of this product and what it can do and how it may be useful for you. And if there's anything else that you'd like me to review, feel free to send me a message and let me know.